Welcome back, folks. We, of course, keep talking about sport in the Western Cape across the districts in the province. And for those of you that have been following the show, you will know that we've, of course, managed to catch up with Lifesaving on a number of occasions. Lifesaving is, of course, one of the national sports across the provinces in the country, and very active. And not only active as sports athletes, but also active to make sure that you stay safe. Joining me on the line now from Lifesaving South Africa here in the Western Cape is Colleen Saunders. Colleen, welcome to Sport Federation TV.
Great, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I suppose you heard my little introduction there. So before we talk about Western Cape and Cape Town Lifesaving, just tell us a little bit about the national or global drowning prevention campaign that we've heard so much about.
Sure, so we were very privileged to be part of the World Drowning Prevention Day. It's the 25th of July. And the United Nations recently issued a declaration on drowning prevention. And it's the first time in history that drowning really has been highlighted in such a big way. And so going forward, the 25th of July will always be World Drowning Prevention Day. And we had lots of activities across the Western Cape and South Africa on the day. Obviously, because of COVID, they were mostly online. But there was quite a lot of traction, and it was really, really great and exciting to be part of it and highlight the issue going forward.
Yeah, so this is, of course, a big driver for Lifesaving South Africa. And we're aware that most of the country was participating in that. Just tell us a little bit about how were they participating. Of course, with the COVID side of things now, I would imagine that it's very difficult to be doing practical demonstrations.
Yeah. So we had quite a few clubs in the Western Cape had some very small get-togethers. So they had kind of their members on the beaches and maybe filming a little bit of what they were doing and posting that online. So a lot of their Facebook pages and things on Twitter. I think the Twitter handle is #DrowningPrevention if you want to have a look at what we were doing. But we also had just mostly some social media videos and photos and things just highlighting the main issues in South Africa. What are the big risk factors and who's most at risk?
It's obviously a big concern for, well, globally, drowning prevention. I mean, we hear on the odd occasion these terrible stories in the news and so on. But is this a focus?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, globally it's an issue. There's certainly some countries where it's a huge issue. Bangladesh and India have massive drowning rates. And South Africa is quite high as well. So we have a drowning rate of about 3 per 100,000, and that's the same for the Western Cape, really, per 100,000 populations. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's about, 1,500 people that drown every year in South Africa. And most of those are children under the age of 15. So it's really children that are incredibly vulnerable.
Of course, this ties into your Water Smart campaign. And my understanding is that the Water Smart campaign really brings a practical element to local people about how to implement drowning prevention.
Yeah, so the Water Smart program has been running since 2017. And it's a Lifesaving South Africa initiative, but it's run across all the provinces. So Western Cape definitely has a program going. It's actually aimed at school children. So grades R all the way through to grade 6, but there's a quite a big component in grade 4. And at the moment, it's very much classroom based. So they don't have to have access to a pool or anything. And they're taught about basic water safety skills, and things, and where to swim, how to be safe, what to do if something happens. But we've got a great partnership with the Princess Charlene of Monaco Foundation, and what that's allowing us now going forward is to actually move it into a learn to swim program as well. So I think so far the program's hit about 90,000 children, and through our commercial sponsors and the Princess Charlene Foundation, over the next year, we're hoping to get to 200,000 children. So we're really, really excited about what this year can bring for Water Smart.
So, Colleen, just give me a couple of practical tips then. This is the kind of stuff that you guys are explaining to kids in the classrooms. You know, there are moms and dads watching at the moment, and probably lots of children as well. I mean, we've spoken to Sean Gordon from Cape Town Lifesaving here on a number of occasions, and he's given us a lot of, you know, beach tips and making sure that you stay close to where the lifesavers are and you watch out for currents and so on. But you're rolling out this in schools now, and as I said, there's probably a lot of mums and dads watching now. What are the kind of things that one should really be careful of?
Yeah, so I think our key messages really for children are to know, just to highlight what some of the risks are, and things like, you know, swimming only when there's an adult present, and if you're going to the beach, swimming where the lifeguards are on duty and between the flags. That's really, really important. Teaching the little ones when they get into trouble to put their hands up in the air and wave to attract attention. I think that's probably one of the most fundamental ways that, you know, a lifeguard or anybody can spot if they're in trouble.
So is that one of the key things, always visibility, making sure that you've got eyeballs on the swimmer?
Absolutely. So I was just going to say, probably the best message that I could get across to your audience now is that, you know, a child drowning really isn't so much about the child as it is about the supervision and the parents. And that is the key issue. I think if we want to reduce drowning in South Africa and the province, we have to focus on supervision. And what that means, and I'm a mom, so I know how hard this is, I know what it sounds like, but what that means is when children are in the bath or in the pool or near water, it's an adult that has to be within arm's reach. So an adult, not an older child or sibling, within arm's reach, so not too far away and not distracted. I think this is probably one of our biggest drowning risks at the moment as well.
And of course, I would imagine another common mistake is when you maybe are socializing and you think your child is okay because they are swimming with other children.
Absolutely, yeah. So we often see that that comes through in the scientific literature, but also in the stories that we hear about drowning, is that the one of the big risks with a social event where you there's lots of parents around, everybody's hanging around outside close to the pool, but there isn't one parent that's responsible for keeping eyes on the pool. So everybody assumes that somebody else is watching. Or that there's older kids, you know, keeping an eye on. But the reality is older kids are having fun and playing and splashing. And drowning isn't this very obvious thing. It's not like someone screaming and shouting and waving their hands in the air. Often it happens very quietly, and a child can just slip under the water without being noticed. So it's critical. I always encourage friends and family, if we're having a social event, one person must be on duty. You can be the lifeguard for the day or for 15 minutes, and then you tag out. So if you need to go to the bathroom or go grab a drink or something, you tag in someone else so that you know who's responsible at that particular point in time.
Folks, we're talking to Colleen Saunders. She is from Lifesaving South Africa. Of course, Western Cape Lifesaving actively participating in the Water Smart campaign. Of course, very important topic, and we'll keep highlighting that. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we're going to catch up with Colleen a little bit more about what's happening with lifesaving in Cape Town and across the Western Cape and in South Africa. Sport is, of course, returned to play according to the COVID guidelines. But we'll find out more about that from Colleen in a second.